What's up, guys? Welcome back to Beyond Borders, where we talk about our mundane lives, mostly about club updates and current events. Here, we voice our opinions as concerned youths. I am your host, Jess, and today we will be talking to two incredibly admirable youth leaders who are passionate about basic education. Welcome to today's tribute episode we're calling InterACTS. But before we go to our main topic, it is important for us to be aware of the things happening in our country. As the deadline of the application for voting on the next election is fast approaching, names are being thrown out from left and right, and some known government officials are now announcing their willingness to run as a candidate for the Senate, Vice Presidential, and the presidential positions. Folks, at this point in time, it is important to be ready. They may or may not continue to run, but try to research about them. Read articles about them, get to know them more. In that way, you will be able to know if they are really fit for that role. With the current state of our country, we as Filipinos, the important or the best thing to do now is for our voices to be heard by voting and registering to vote. The deadline of registration will be extended up until the 30th of October. As of September 21, over 63 million Filipinos may vote for the May 2022 elections. So for those who aren't registered yet that are going to be 18 years old or above during the 2022 elections, now is your signal and your sign to register. Let's register to vote, everyone, and together as one nation, we'll rise from these setbacks and adversities and look forward to a better, stronger, safer, and united country. So up next are the updates and upcoming events for our RACCF-USC. Are you guys excited? So for the last month, the club did a lot of events. First one in line is the club's life-changing program, a quarterly project that aims to provide help, assistance, and favor to selected beneficiaries to ease and better their life situation. And for this program, the club chose Alman V. Oslay as a chosen beneficiary. Two of our Rraccf went to him last August 14, 2021 and handed over boxes of grocery items to him. Second, as the USC forges ahead to the school year 2021 to 2022, Musta na Bay, a mental health advocacy platform by the USC Supreme Student Council, USC Counseling and Development Center, and USC Peer Facilitators, and in collaboration with the Rotaract Club of Cebu Fuente, University of San Carlos, and the USC Red Cross Youth College Council hosted the webinar Getting Back on Track last August 20, 2021. And earlier this month, despite the continuing crisis of the COVID-19 pandemic, the pre-existing issues of our country still persist. Healthy Yarn, a nutrition and deworming webinar prepared by the Cebu Council of Rotaract Club, happened last September 11, 2021. And lastly, we are celebrating the Basic Education and Literacy Month. For this month, the club watched the award-winning film The Theory of Everything for its monthly RAC Cinema online, a virtual get-together for all the members of Rotaract last September 18, 2021. So the movie follows the story of the famous physicist Stephen Hawking and his wife. This movie explores love, time, and space. Sa mga wala pa ka-watch, go watch it na, guys. It is very much recommended. And as we close our month of September, we may bring the positive lessons, memories, and learnings we got from this month and forget the negative ones. Let us look up the month of October as a new chance or opportunity for us to learn, grow, and mature. But before we proceed to our main interview, let's play a little game muna. Now, this game is called Sing It In. Here are the mechanics. So our team will play a part of a certain song and you're going to guess the title and artist. Easy, diba? Well, the song will play for 10 seconds and you will be given another 5 seconds to guess the song and its artist. So, importante dyan nga you listen carefully. As for the prizes, let's see about that. Well, are you ready? So let's sing it in. And here is our first song. The correct answer is Piliin Mo ang Inang Pilipinas by Angeline Quinto. Familiar? Ang wala nakatry og sayaw ani kay wala niagig high school. Hala! Here is our second song. Very familiar, di ba? The correct answer is Boom Boom by Momoland. Well, let's proceed to our last song.
Ako hanggang dito lang talaga tayo.
Correct answer is Tala by Sarah Geronimo. And that is it. Naka-perfect ba mo? Well, if you guessed all 3 songs right, then do share our podcast with the caption of the correct song titles and artists. And I know what you're thinking. Why do these songs seem so familiar? Well, it's because these songs are actually played in school events hosted by different clubs and organizations. Very popular and common songs to choose from whenever night presentations, right? So on a more serious note, everyone has experienced the downsides of the lockdown in our country ever since the spread of the pandemic. And one of the biggest challenges we have faced is that students are having to adjust to the online setup, meaning there's no more face-to-face interactions with one another. And as a club member myself, there really is a difference when it comes to the online and the physical interactions and the experience and learning that it brings to us as students in these organizations. So on that note, welcome to the 3rd episode of Beyond Borders, we are calling InterACTS. Here with us today are Kuya Klyle and Kuya Louie from Pathways and RACCF-USC. So to start off, on behalf of RACCF-USC, we would like to welcome you to the Beyond Borders podcast. I'm sure the listeners would like to know more about you guys. So maybe you can introduce to us who you guys are. How did you get into the clubs? What made you decide to become members of those clubs? And then as members, do you still remember what it was like being a new member then?
Hi Jess, hi everyone. Good afternoon to all our listeners. So hi, my name is Louie Jaminal and I am the life-changing president of the RACCF Club of Cebu Fuente University of San Carlos. So Jess, to answer your question, I told everyone that I joined the club when I felt like there's a need to look for an organization where I can best channel my empowerment. So a little backstory. One night in my dormitory, I searched RACCF Cebu Fuente USC, and then I joined them, and coincidentally, as they were about to open new Rotary year, I was appointed as the club service director by past president Kathleen Imperial with the recommendation of past president Buds Philip Fernandez. And the rest is history, and I'm still here serving as your president.
Yes, very nice. How about Kuya Klyle?
Hello guys, hello Jezreel. I'm Klyle Luchavez. I'm 20 years old, a second year BS Computer Engineering student and the current president of USC-Pathways. So yeah, when I reached college back in 2019, I basically just joined any org that interested me. And one of the things that I like doing is helping people. And so yeah, that's when I encountered USC-Pathways and here I am still with them now. Thank you.
Nice. So thank you guys for your backstory upon entering your club. So you guys were able to join your clubs before the pandemic, and then maybe you can share to us what did you most enjoy about the face-to-face interactions with your members, and then the programs or the projects that you guys implemented. And for sure, you guys have had projects in your clubs, no, that you were able to participate in. And to be specific, those community outreach programs, did you guys have that? Maybe you can share to us some details about immersing in those communities.
So one of the programs that we had pre-pandemic was the Project Estoriata. So it's basically a program that aims to motivate the street children from Barangay Tinago, Cebu City to pursue formal education and, well, if they're already in school, to motivate them to continue. I did get to meet the kids through when we organized a Christmas party for them. So it was really a very wonderful experience for me, meeting the kids, helping them, giving them things that they need, and just seeing them so happy.
Oh, that's a very nice initiative coming from Pathways, Klyle. We also have something similar like that here in our RACCF-USC. During the pre-pandemic, I actually organized one of the activities under the 12 Days of Christmas. So 12 Days of Christmas Christmas is a bannered project of the RACCF-USC that is running for almost 5 years or 6 years now. And it's called the Witness to the Word. So we went to the Balay Samaritano. So we conducted storytelling sessions just like what Klyle and the Pathways did. And this facility houses elderly, street dwellers, and street kids. So it's amazing to be working with USC-YFC or the Youth for Christ. They are our official partner in service for that project. After the storytelling session, we conducted a short art session for them. Then some of our sponsors gave us snacks that we were able to share with these kids. So it was a very fun activity.
Right, so both of the clubs actually promoted a lot of projects, and then this in particular is really a nice project. It serves the community, and then you guys got to bond with other people and even the members, and you were able to bring home so many lessons and wonderful memories to cherish. Makaingon siya tanga, sana all. For those who haven't experienced those programs or those who haven't attended. So considering that you have visited schools or those communities in rural areas as outreach programs of the clubs, especially in areas where education for children is hard to access, maybe you guys could share with us a situation you have witnessed when visiting these communities before the pandemic, and then how did that make you feel? What lesson did you learn from that experience?
You know what, Jezreel, in every activities that we conduct, there's always a lesson that we can learn from. And seeing these children, despite of the challenges that they were facing, the children from Balay Samaritano, one thing I learned from them, which you can also learn from them, is to be grateful in everything that we have in life. When I went there and when I observed these children, it seems like they do not see life as half empty glass or half full glass. It seems like they see life more of being thankful that they have a glass or a cup. Because most of the time, the small things that we take for granted is the things that deserve the attention the most or deserve our gratitude the most. And that's something that we can learn from them. Let us be thankful of what we have. When I went there, it feels like it made me question what makes these kids smile, what makes these kids joyful, what makes these kids ambitious, because they tell me or my co-volunteers about their dreams and ambitions in their life. And then when I went home, it made me realize that it is what they have. It is what they have that they are most thankful of, and that keeps them driven, and that keeps them driven to be happy in life, to be contented, to realize that there's so much more of life rather than counting what's missing.
Very, very true, Kuya Louie.
Yeah, very true, Louie. It's really not just us helping them, but also they can also help us in ways like they can make us realize certain important lessons about life. So yeah, it's really just beautiful. And yeah, from my experience also, from what I have witnessed and others also, when we went there to Barangay Tinago and we met the kids face to face, we saw and we realized that for those kids and some other kids all around our country, the streets have become part of their home. They're very familiar with it already. The harsh conditions, the risks, the dangers. It's like they've adapted to it. But I mean, it's nice that they've adapted to it. But when you think about it, it's really not an ideal environment for them to grow up on, much less for education and learning, diba? And especially at their current stage of development. And for some, or really most of them, their number one priority is simply surviving and getting through each day. So it makes you realize that education is quite far behind in their list of priorities, at the moment, at their current situation. And really, that is the harsh reality for these children. And that made me, and I'm sure others also, a bit concerned for them. And it made us want to help in the ways that we could by giving them support and by offering them education as a tool to lift themselves up in the future and hopefully make their situation better.
Right. Very nice. And then I actually recall there were several instances where I happened to scroll on my For You page in Facebook and then in Instagram, Twitter, and then there were a lot of students that were ranting about how difficult the online classes are, and then how they wish that they could revert things back to when it was still face-to-face. And then I think it goes well with what Kuya Louie said, that we take things for granted. We never know what was important to us until it is removed from us. And then same with what Louie said, that you just have to be you just have to be grateful of what you already have, because what you have is probably what some other kid somewhere out there does not have and is longing for. And then here you are, you have that, but then you're complaining because you want something better when you already have something good. So Kuya Klyle also mentioned that the educational sector of our country is one of the least priorities, diba, of the government. So why don't we compare that to the situation that we have now with the COVID-19 in the picture? We know that education is significant for children and for everyone, honestly. It's the key for us to have our livelihood, to grow up, to be educated. But we cannot deny the fact that not only us, but every student all over the world, especially in our country, has gone through the similar struggles day after day. Some are even experiencing something worse. So as privileged students from the University of San Carlos, which is a private institution, we have had our fair share of struggles with online class. But how much more difficult do you think it is for students that are below the poverty line, and especially for those students who barely have access to laptops, to the internet, and have difficulties in the new mode of learning, taking into account the students or the kids that you guys have encountered? What do you think they are going through right now?
Yeah, that's very true, Jisrael. No, kanang. It was even difficult before the pandemic. So right now we can really only imagine how much more difficult it is for them now. So some parents or guardians may be having trouble financially, and for the students, in addition to their daily lives and stresses, they now have to be careful not to catch the virus. So without a doubt, things are really much more complicated and difficult now. And also with regards to the modes of learning for these kids, for the students in basic education, I think with modular learning, everything is already prepared naman. So it's only a matter of delivering it to them and making sure that it engages them enough to help them actually learn. But I think the greater problem is with online learning, since there are still a lot of students that have little or actually no access to gadgets and devices for online learning. So that's really a big problem right now, and I really think they need all the help they can get.
I couldn't agree more to what Klyle said. Like, it's really true that during this pandemic, there are varying levels of hardships and struggles that every Filipino students are facing, right? So I also acknowledge that some students have responsibilities in their families while doing online classes. Some students are struggling mentally. Some students are struggling because they do not have the access to internet, to laptops. Not only the students, but the teachers as well. They are adjusting to this new normal. Or the parents whose livelihoods are greatly affected by the pandemic, I think have failed to prepare the necessary things that we or their children need for online learning. And we cannot force them to buy laptops directly or immediately by just one saying, "Oy, mapaliti ko laptop." Like, they cannot afford to do it. They cannot afford to buy it, right? I think it's high time for us to pressure our government, to pressure the private sectors, or to pressure ourselves to reach out to these kids, to reach out to these communities in little ways that we know on helping them. Maybe we can have a fair share of that. So yeah, I think it's a high time for us to pressure our government, especially in the internet, as what Jisrael mentioned a while ago, that people are ranting, students are ranting, fighting for or calling for ligtas na balik eskwela. I think we should support that. And most people have misconceptions on this call for balik ligtas eskwela, because I think when we call for ligtas balik eskwela, people would immediately think na, mag-eskwela gyapon ta bisan nasa pandemic niya taas yung kaso. No, it's actually not like that. The situation there, or what we are trying to relay, is to pressure our government to recalibrate or rethink their ways on controlling the COVID-19 pandemic so we can get back to school physically as soon as possible.
Right. And then I think it's very common. It's a very common experience, and something the students do not want to experience any longer is the fact that you have to stay at home, and then you're alone. You don't have your friends to talk to or mag-chill mo somewhere out there, and then you have classes to take, Plus, you have your parents who are trying to get you to do your chores, but then you're stressed with your studies. You also have siblings who keep annoying you. And then there's also the problem of unstable internet connection. Labad
Right.
kaayo.
Yeah, that's right, Jezreel. Unlike during the physical face-to-face class, if it's your break time, you have 1 hour to rest or to scroll your Facebook page or your Instagram account. But now, when you have break time, your parents will call you, "Oy, asa naman ka? Paglungag ka. Baka pwede magpaulay sa ako."
True.
There's a lot of situations that we need to consider in conducting face-to-face class. And I read somewhere on the internet, it's a recent study. If we don't open our schools as soon as possible, it's like million of dollars lost for the Philippines in the future.
Very true. So clear in the eyes of the public. In fact, it's crystal clear in the eyes of people under the educational sector of our country that the struggles students or even the teachers face during the pandemic is no joke. I don't know if you guys are with me on this one, but there are some ignorant people under the educational sector who fail to see the toll online classes have taken on students, teachers, and even the parents. Kuya Klyle, I'm assuming that you guys from Pathways were able to reach out in your own ways to make sure that these students do not feel left behind. With that, how were you able to reach out to them during the pandemic?
Yeah, no one really prepares for anything like that. So it was a big change from the usual setup of basically everything. But of course, we still wanted to continue our mission of helping our dear beneficiaries. So we conduct our regular storytelling sessions. We still wanted to extend our help in some way. So what we did for them last year was we conducted an online fundraising activities, and we used the funds from the activities to buy them school supplies. And then we partnered up with Justice, Peace, and Integrity of Creation, JPIC, who then distributed the supplies to the kids for us.
Yes, very nice. How about you, Louie? Do you have something to add?
So here in our RACCF-USC, our initiatives and projects such as the Balikhandog project. So the Balikhandog is where our Rraccf have gathered illustrators and writers to create this storybook. And our beneficiary for Balikhandog last year was the Kite Foundation. We conducted virtual storytelling with them. So Kite Foundation is a foundation that houses cancer patients and survivors na children. So aside from that, we also conducted Witness to the Word, but we adapted to the new normal, so the setup was still virtual. And we had a meeting with the officers from Florida State University. They have an all-Filipino association there. And my direct contact was my friend. And then they were volunteers to teach children here in the Philippines. So we had that agreement, we had that partnership with them, and it's very nice of them because they're trying to give back to the Filipino people, to the Filipino students, especially those who are having a hard time during online classes, right? So aside from that, we are trying to make our project sustainable by continuing the projects that we had in the past years. So one of that is we are having the Balikhandog project year 2. I cannot tell more of the details yet because it's something that we want people to look forward to. And September 25, we will be turning over educational and health kits to the 61 beneficiaries in Bien Unido, Bohol. So we will be conducting a reach out activity there by our Rraccfs who are residing in Bohol. So I think that's also a great way to prove that this pandemic does not hinder us from serving our community.
And it's really amazing that both clubs were able to reach out to these communities. We can truly say that compassion ignites within us, and as socially aware individuals, we know that we can do a lot to give out a helping hand to others. It's not that difficult for us to do. And on that note, do you guys have anything to express to our listeners with regards to being able to reach out in their own ways to communities, to students who suffer in the new normal education, and maybe to our fellow Carolinian listeners and organizations too. Maybe you guys would like to spread awareness that we can do so much for others as empowered citizens and united organizations.
Yes, just real. That's very true. No, so we already know that quality education was already hard to access before, and the pandemic has simply worsened it. It's quite sad because there's so much potential in all those children that have difficulty accessing education, and most of them actually are very eager to learn. So I think they simply lack lang jud the motivation and resources to do so or continue to do so. And with that, given our privilege, which is relatively greater compared to theirs, compared to others, I believe we are in a very good position to lend a helping hand. Lastly, I just want to thank the Rotaract Club for inviting us in Pathways today. Simply being here and discussing this issue with you is already a big step in the right direction in raising awareness for this problem. So thank you very much.
Yes, I also agree with Klyle. During this pandemic, I guess that we have the power and capacity to help people. As simple as using your talent, your skills to raise awareness. May it be fighting for any social issues that we are currently facing. I would also like to take this opportunity to thank the team or the production staff of the Beyond Borders, the broadcast series by RACCF-USC, for giving me and Klyle from USC-Pathways an opportunity to speak, for giving us a platform to raise awareness, specifically the basic education literacy, which is really a problem here in our country during these trying times. And I'm very happy to be sitting with Klyle today for this interview, and I'm learning so much from you, from your work ethics, and from what is Pathways doing. I look forward for future projects or collaborations with you guys.
That's amazing, you guys. And thank you so much, Kuya Cal, for representing Pathways and for Kuya Louie for representing Rotaract. Taking time out of your busy schedules to have this insightful and meaningful conversation. I'm pretty sure that our listeners enjoyed this as much as I did. And I also hope that our listeners feel more inspired to reach out to other communities and to join hands with fellow students so that no one will ever feel left behind. Well, speaking of education, here's a trivia about it. Time for Trivia Minute! Well, did you know that school days in the Philippines may not exceed a certain number? Under Republic Act 7797, Wow Republic Act, each school year may not exceed 220 school days, inclusive of school days, which may be subsequently suspended due to natural or man-made calamities. And in connection to that, the 1987 Constitution, the state shall assign the highest budgetary priority to education. Wow! Here are the activities in RACCF-USC that you should look out for the month of October and the preceding months. First, we have the End Polio Now fundraising activity, and then we have the Pink October, and then the highlight of our Christmas season projects, the 12 Days of Christmas, which includes Santa Tell Me, Makulay na Pasko, Witness to the Word, Senior Moments, Bukas Palad, Laruan para kay Bruno, Islandspiration, Wish Upon a Box, Balik Handog, Agree Ka Dito, World Toilet Day, and Vendors Day Out. To keep updated about those events, follow us on our official Facebook account at www.facebook.com/RACCF-USC. And as September is coming to an end, it's time to greet our September birthday celebrants. A happy, happy birthday. It may be another year of a quarantine birthday, but it is also another year to be thankful that you are safe, okay, and got the chance to celebrate another year of life. Happy, happy birthday to Joshua, Jules, Faith, Noreen, Shari, Angel, Guinea, Cheska, Isabel, Ivan, Cess, Jeremy, Panpan, Glidel, Kath, Mayan, Kissy, Berm, Nicole, Chin, Kim, Kling, Ann, JJ, Jen, and Nick. Happy birthday, you guys! While it's so hard to say goodbye, I guess we have to. That's it for this month's episode. Did you guys have fun? Well, before you go, please do show some love by leaving us a like and a follow on our Facebook page, Rotary Club of Cebu Fuente, University of San Carlos. Stay tuned for next month's episode as we bring you another set of guests and issues to cover. Once again, this has been Jess. And always remember, as Nelson Mandela says, education is the most powerful weapon which you can use to change the world. Thank you for listening, and remember to show kindness to everyone. Till next time, bye!